Hi, Dav here, and today we have a new episode in the art session series. And today we're going to be doing a voiceover of a recent session I did. And I believe uh, this specific page is the second page of my series of sketches. Because I was doing this product review of the Art X90 color acrylic marker color set. And I had to do a bunch of drawings beforehand to sort of color it with those markers. So yeah, you can see me draw in ballpoint pen. Actually, ArtX did give me like this bunny, this rabbit. It's kind of like a piggy bank, or in this case, a bunny bank, where you can like add your coins in and save money that way. Although I don't use coins anymore, or paper money even. I hardly use it because most of the stuff I buy is via just digital means. But yeah, they did send me this bunny, and apparently I was supposed, or the idea is you're supposed to color that with some acrylic markers that they've sent you, but I decided not to just because it looked kind of cool on its own, just being white. You know, white is right. I'm kidding. The point is, like, I just, first of all, I'm not really that confident in painting with the acrylic markers on like non-paper stuff, in this case a sculpture, so there's that. But also, you know, it's cool on its own, just being the way it is. So instead of drawing or coloring the bunny, I decided to draw the bunny instead. And I did enjoy it actually. I did draw the same bunny 2 times, but just different poses or different like views. And you can see this sort of like if you look at the way I draw, it's sometimes I go back and forth between my lines. And it's sort of like I'm figuring out where each part is, right, as I go. So it feels like I'm working. It almost feels like I'm problem solving in a way. And I think it's a very cool and useful way of drawing where, like, don't be afraid to go over your previous lines, basically. And I think you're going to have a much better time when you approach things this way, where it doesn't have to be right at the first sort of, you know, from the very first stroke. Although I'll be honest, it isn't like I'm figuring everything out as I go. I do have a reference. Obviously, it's the bunny, and I do try to get the areas somewhat right. But I'm not too pressured to get it right the first time, basically. And I think a lot of people have, like, the reason why some people can't do this is because they're not very good yet with observational drawing. So for me, I guess I've done so much of these types of drawings where I have reference and I try to copy it essentially, or break it down in my own way, that this kind of thing is just not as difficult for me. Like, I'm not afraid to like, most of my strokes do hit the mark, and even if they don't, I can easily adjust them in a way that I like. And I think for a lot of people, you have to go through this phase of observational drawing, because I know for me, what my struggle is mainly is coming up with more original ideas, you know, like designs. Just think like, you know, OCs, original characters and stuff like that. That's kind of like, I want to be better at more imaginative drawing, right? You know, I'm not afraid to use reference, but I want to be in a space where I don't have to be as attached to my reference, right? Where it's me being more in control, I guess, in a way. Basically, I want some designs that are just, or concepts that are just kind of out of this world in a way, you know? I'm not sure what my point is, but basically, I don't have the issue of breaking things down and seeing things as they are. I've already solved that part of my journey for a while now. So, and I think I forgot that I already solved this part. So I think doing this session was a good thing to do, just because it reminded me that I'm already experienced. You know, because looking back, I remember I had so much struggle doing these kinds of like sketches or drawings. Like, I had no idea how to make things proportionate. I had no idea how to, see things as they are. I had no idea how to measure things and sculpt things and render things, even with like a few strokes or a few hatch lines. So there was a time when these types of sketches were just beyond my skill level. But this is kind of proof that I'm not a beginner anymore, and I think I should level up and just go even harder with more like imaginative like drawings and improve my design more or storytelling. Essentially, my hard skills in art are a little more developed, are a little more advanced. Right now, I need to develop more of my soft skills like storytelling, narrative design, concept design, stuff like that, where it's more about the conceptual, theoretical stuff rather than the hard skills or techniques. And I think for artists, it's important to know what you're missing. Because maybe you're good in theory, like you get which colors to use, but you just lack the technical ability, and that comes with time as well, right? And vice versa. So the struggle is, I guess, not knowing what you're not good at and what you're good at, right? And because you don't have to solve everything and learn everything at the same time. Because for the bulk of my art development, I think I leaned heavily on improving my technical ability. And I think because of that, I was able to progress or make progress way faster than, say, other people, just because I was a bit more focused. I had like a limit to what I did. For example, like I mentioned, in my university years, I drew a lot in my sketchbook. Lots of figure drawing, lots of observational drawing, doing it traditionally. I did not have a tablet back then. I just had this jump, I guess, of just hardcore domination and just sketching. And I think it did transfer pretty well to my digital sort of skills. Although it is its own sort of medium, I did also take some time to get used to, or it did take some time for me to get used to, drawing in Photoshop, drawing, painting in Clip Studio Paint as well. But the bulk of the foundational stuff, which can be achieved or is mainly achieved, or a big portion of that is just drawing, traditionally, I think it has helped me a lot. So anyway, after drawing these two bunnies, I did draw like this other bunny, because I think the reason why ArtX sent me these bunnies was because they were doing like an Easter event. So obviously, the Easter bunny is kind of the thing there. So I decided to draw this bunny from a rabbit from the Devil May Cry anime show. It's from Netflix, or in Netflix. And I just liked the design. The face was somewhat attractive, and the voice acting too was pretty cool. Whether it's the English version or the Japanese sort of voice, they found good actors or good voice actors to voice this specific bunny. And I think most people would agree that the voice of this guy is so freaking cool. And yeah. And also the expressions of this guy, which is funny because it's actually, not to spoil, well, maybe I'm spoiling it, but maybe it's a bad thing to say, because I might actually spoil the show. I'll say this: the expressions are very cool, and it's just attractive to look at. And like, I remember seeing this rabbit for the first time, and I just thought of like all the fan art that would come from this guy, and just because they're such a cool character, And by the way, the fan art I was thinking was degenerate artwork. But anyway, moving on. You'll notice the difference between these two different bunnies, the statue bunny, which ArtX sent me, and this white rabbit from the Devil May Cry anime. Is the Devil May Cry anime White Rabbit is going to be a lot more facially expressive, right? Obviously because of the reference I had. And there's a reason why I chose these specific references or shots from the anime, just because it's very expressive. Number one, first of all, it's there. I did not have to open up and watch the episode and screenshot it myself. There were already screenshots of these poses, so it was easier for me to do. But also, they were the most like facially intriguing ones or expressive ones. So that's why I picked them, and I do like the way they turned out. Although I did struggle a bit just because there's way more nuances in the face compared to like the basic and expressionless statue face of the Easter Bunny drawings that I did previously, or on the left hand side of this page. And yeah. And I think it started with the sketch of that woman. Like the last page, or in the last episode, I think we covered the woman in the bottom right. Like the way I decided to because I started to hatch like these drawings, some of them anyway, and I also decided to bolden and indent the outer lines a little more. And I think I did that with that previous sketch. And I've noticed that I think I started to apply it to, or that kind of approach with these drawings as well. I did not do as much hatching with the Easter bunnies, right? But you can tell that I did try to bolden the outer lines a little more, or the outer contour lines, to sort of define what the final lines are, number one, but also to make the sketch a little more poppy, to make it pop out more from the page. Because when you do this kind of approach in ballpoint pen, you're gonna have so many the guidelines, because you're not gonna get it in one go sometimes. So you want to make sure people know which are the final lines and which are the sort of initial sketch guidelines, right? And you don't even have to go dark or that dark. Just make sure it's dark enough than the lines before, and you'll be fine. And don't do that for everything. You want to have some kind of hierarchy, because if all of the lines are the same line weight, it's gonna look very muddy, messy, and just out of like there's no order to it. So if you have like a range of line weights, of line intensities, it's gonna be, number one, much more readable, but number two, much more aesthetically pleasing, because there's less monotony. Because again, if you have all the same line widths and you have so much of it, it's just gonna look like a visual noise, right? But if you have like a good amount of range there, where you have like darker, heavier lines along with lighter, softer lines, it's gonna feel a lot more balanced, a lot more evened out, right? So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna include the coloring session for this video in the background, but I do know I did decide to color the bottom rabbit instead. Because I did enjoy drawing a little bit of the upper torso, right? The collars and the sort of ribbon thingy. And I mean, yeah, it's like a one-shot thing where the character is just facing you like head on, but it's kind of an interesting pose. It's so cool because it's a bunny, right? It's a rabbit, but it's so domineering, right? And I think that's a good example of in a strong design, right? Because how can you make a bunny that's usually associated with kawaiiness, with cuteness, and make it look domineering and just scary? It reminds me of another anime. I haven't watched it fully, but it's like a zodiac. It's based on the zodiac signs. But I remember seeing one of the characters being a bunny, and well, it's kind of zesty looking, but it looked so aggressive. And I just like the way people are able to pull that off, because you know, in anime, when you see bunny, or when you think bunny girls, right? So you assume it's not just cute or kawaii. It's like there's like a sensual nature to it. So how do you step away a little bit from that and make it a little more like scary and aggressive and monstrous, right? So I think they did a good job with the character designs of pretty much most of the characters, but especially this White Rabbit guy. Pretty cool. Yeah, about the Artex markers, if you want like the full review of the markers, I will link that video in the description below. But I'll say this, not all of the markers are as opaque as I thought they would be. But personally, I don't really mind. Because to me, they feel more like sketch brushes. Like I use them, I feel like I could use them more for sketching than for like more fuller illustrations. That's just how I see them and how I am most likely to use them. I would put them along with, you know, like alcohol-based markers and stuff like that, where it's just something to add. It helps you render some of your drawings much faster and in a much more convenient way. Instead of using like watercolors or gouache paint or oils or acrylic paint. I think acrylic markers, alcohol-based markers, or even some water-based markers to an extent, even color pencil, these mediums are just much more manageable and just easier to reach, very accessible, and they don't take a lot of like work to do, so, or setup or prep work, right? You know, because when you have like watercolors or gouache, you need to like wash your brushes, you need to have like your paint with you. It's very tedious, and it actually takes time away from art, I think. Yeah. You know, I guess that's it for this art review. Oh, sorry, not art review, but this overview of this session. And we'll proceed with the next video eventually, or in the next episode. And I think we're going to be tackling the last page of this session. Or of this like series of drawings for the product review I did recently. So yeah, hopefully enjoyed. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.